Welcome to Mitten Motorsports. Today we're going to be replacing a pinion seal in a 99 Jeep Cherokee. I don't know why sometimes they fail, maybe a little bit of corrosion on the yoke. In our case, we ran through the weeds 4 feet high. The weeds got wound up around our drive shaft and eventually took the seal out. Now it's leaking gear fluid all over my driveway. So we're going to replace that today. Alright, let's get started. I've already taken everything apart. I got halfway through it. I was like, I should probably make a video on this, so that's why these are already off. You're going to want to take out these 4 bolts that hold the drive shaft on. These are 5/16. Be careful taking these out, or at least be careful putting them back in because they are pretty small. They have blue Loctite on them. I'd hate to break one of these off. Set those aside. You're probably going to need a bar when you first take this out. Put a bar in here and kind of pry this drive shaft out. And then I'm not going to take it all the way out of the transfer case. So I am just going to strap it up here somehow. So now what you're going to want to do, you want to take a 32mm socket, put it on this nut, and if you have an impact, go ahead and break that nut loose. Before I did this, I marked myself a mark on the pumpkin, on the yoke, where the nut was on the yoke, and then a mark on the nut. So what I'm going to do is when I put this back together, so I'm going to tighten it all the way down to where it was when I took it off. I know there's a torque sequence to this. I'll put that in the video. I don't have a torque wrench on me. I'm at my house, I'm not at my shop, so I have very minimal tools other than my impact. So I made a couple marks. I'm going to line back up when I put it all back together. I kind of remember how many threads were showing over the nut, so I'm going to try to get back to that spot and then line those marks up, and I should be good to go. I already did this earlier, that's why it's hand loose. There is a nut and there is a washer in there. Then you're going to want to pull that yoke off, set that aside. Now I already did this earlier, but there should be a seal in here. You can take a flathead screwdriver and kind of wedge the screwdriver between the pumpkin and the seal, pry it out a little bit, and grab some channel locks to remove the seal completely. Now installing the seal. I am going to do my absolute best to make sure there's no oil on this surface when I put that seal in, because I do put some black RTV on it. I don't know if it's exactly what you're supposed to do, but putting a metal seal without any RTV in that metal to metal, that doesn't really sit right with me, right? So in there, give it a couple taps with a mallet. Your best bet doing this would be if you have a big enough socket, go all the way around on this thing. That way you're pushing it in like evenly. And I don't have that, so this is the best we got. Honestly, it went in pretty well. Pretty easy too. I like that. That seems pretty good all the way around. For good measure. Perfect. Beautiful. Now, when you put this back in, I'm going to put a little coat of grease right here. What I did before I started recording, was I kind of cleaned all this up with some sandpaper. All I had was 120 grit, so that's just what I used. It went very light. I tried not to take any metal off, just rust and whatever was built up on this. It is kind of pitted, so that kind of sucks. Line this bad mamma jamma up. There she goes, right in. Can't forget my washer. Put my washer in there. nut in on. I really wish I had a 1/2 inch ratchet because I'd love to tighten this up by hand. I feel like you get a better feel on whether or not it's actually getting cinched down versus the rust kind of holding it. Well, that felt kind of good. Alright, so I got a ways to go. So that's close. Alright, so I cinched it down, got my marks lined up the best I could. And now we're gonna put the drive shaft back on. Unhook the drive shaft. Line the drive shaft up with the yoke. Push the drive shaft in there. So what you're gonna wanna do is put your caps back on with your 5/16 bolts. Before you do that, you're going to want to put a little bit of blue Loctite on these. That's just like what they used to say in kindergarten when you're playing with paste. A little dab will do. So that one's got Loctite. Just a little dab. Throw your strap back on. That's it. That's how you change a pinion seal. So yeah, that's basically how you replace a pinion seal. The torque spec on that nut, you could probably be a little bit more precise on that. I didn't have a torque wrench. I just used the impact, kind of lined up where my line was. But yeah. Also, if you found this video even the slightest bit helpful, make sure you like it, comment how much of an idiot I am, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.